Hi there, everyone. I have to start out with apologizing for the bad sound quality in this episode. It's all on me, CC. I goofed. I forgot the recording equipment at home on the only day me and Rasmus had a chance to record a podcast together. So this episode is recorded on his phone. We've done what we could with the sound, but, it is what it is. Anyhow, this episode is all about Lambic, unblended, blended, with and without fruit. Hope you enjoy it.
We got the background sound. I did a goof.
CC goof today, and
I normally do.
Apparently forgot the recording equipment, but luckily technology is so advanced now, so we can use the phone. Hey guys, welcome back to Beer Bubbles, the number one bubbles podcast in the world. We think and we know, and
it is the bubbles.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a straight lager. I didn't want to ruin my taste buds before this, because this is a special one.
Yeah. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Hedemora Lager, Hedemora Pilsner, sorry, from Oppegård.
Oppegård, yeah. They actually stopped making the Hedemora Lager.
Yeah, so it's the Hedemora Pilsner.
But the Pilsner is good as well. Mm. I'm drinking the Fleshed from Temple Brygghus.
Yeah.
Their ESB, which is fucking well made.
The Flesh.
The Fleshed. Which is, I think it's a band.
Yeah, well, it was really good. I tried it yesterday.
Really nice.
Today's episode is going to be all about this.
And I'm just going to make this clear. For those of you that don't want us to speak about Akkurat, this podcast isn't for you, because we work at Akkurat, and Akkurat is one of our sponsors, and we're here daily, basically.
And the reason we work here is kind of because we love this place.
Yeah, and we love beer.
We're not going to stop talking about Akkurat
ever,
just because you think it's too advertisey or anything. Because
well, we actually fucking work here, so it's.
But today we're going to talk about Lambics.
Yes. And all of its surrounding areas. The funny thing is that neither you or I had really that much knowledge of Lambics or Gös or all that stuff before we started working here.
Oh no, I got thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, have you told this story in the podcast?
I don't think so.
You should start off with that story, because that story is quite fun and it's mental.
Yeah, I started working here in September 2021.
21, yeah?
Yeah. 1st of September. And on my first day, Christian, the then bar manager, came to me and said, oh, by the way, on the 12th, you have a tasting. And I'm like, yeah, I've held millions of tastings.
Yeah.
And he said, well, this is a bit special, because it's people flying in from all over the world to drink Lambics. And I'm like, okay, it's not a black hole in my knowledge, but it's what I knew least about, at least. Mm. And they had pre-booked beers for 56,000 Swedish kroners, which is about $5,500.
Yeah.
And then when they arrived, they got lunch. It was a Sunday. They got a Hälsinge Dunkel, really nice dark beer with their Bœuf Bourguignon.
From Hälsinge Bryggeri.
Yep. Peter and Ingeborg. Great.
You're awesome.
Yes. And then we went down here and we looked through some of the rarities we have. So we went down here, we picked out a few rarities. The beer tab ran up to 80,000 Swedish kroners, which is about $8,000. Mm-hmm. And they probably knew more about Lambics than I did, but I got to taste everything. I poured them perfectly all day through. They were here from, say, 1 o'clock in the afternoon till 11 o'clock at night, and just had a hell of a time. And that was kind of my introduction into Akkurat. I was thrown in the deep end, as we say.
It's much better than my introduction, because my first time serving vintage Lambic, I did the Cam 2002, so I guess.
That was kind of lively, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't bring a towel, so I ended up spraying the guests and myself. And the only thing I could say was, well, there's worse ways to get showered. And they laughed and they agreed.
Did you bring a towel today?
No, I didn't, but I brought napkins. I didn't want to go upstairs again. But let's start off with the first one. It is from Driefontein.
Yeah, and this, what vintage is that?
It is 2006.
So this is a Lambic. And Lambic is...
Oud Lambic.
It's an old Lambic, and oud in Flemish means old. But in this circumstance, it's basically traditional. So traditional means it's sour, basically. It's fermented out thoroughly. And for you guys who don't know what a Lambic is, it's a spontaneously fermented beer that is actually, you don't add any yeast. It ferments from the yeasts and bacteria that are in its environment.
And the main one is Brettanomyces.
Brettanomyces is the main yeast. It is extremely aggressive. It eats sugars that normal beer yeast doesn't eat. And that is why the beer becomes sour, because it eats all the sugars in the beer, in the wort. But it takes time.
Yeah,
And,
1 to 3 years, you could say?
Yeah, 1 to 3 years, to at least a year to make a Lambic. This is a young Lambic, so it's not a mix of different vintages, but it's not young. It's we've matured it since 2006. And this is what this place is all about, basically. Akkurat has one of the best, if not the best, Lambic selection in the world.
I would say so. And since we are an educational podcast, I just want to sneak something in here.
Sure.
The reason I'm holding my finger on top of the cork, when it comes to bottles, when it's a champagne, Cremant, whatever it is, or Lambic, never ever take off the cage without holding the cork. Because the pressure is so big in some bottles, so it can release. And if you get this one in your head from a close range,
you could die.
You could die. And that's not a joke. You could actually die from doing that. So
and the
be careful.
And the reason the pressure is so high in some of these bottles is because there's still live yeast in the bottle.
Yeah.
So I'm going to move these a little bit.
And some corks sit tighter than somebody else. But always screw them off as well. Don't fucking just pull it. That will...
But in the end, pull it, because otherwise you might get a shot of beer backward. That wasn't too
light.
Right? So pour some.
Yeah, we have 2 glasses here. Nice.
Yeah. And you don't want the residue yeast, because that's been, in this bottle, it's been lying there since 2006. So you want to drink the beer as clear as possible, and that's why we serve it in one of these little baskets. Because it's lying down all the time. You don't flip it up and mix around the yeast, so it actually comes up into the beer.
But also, when it ages, doesn't like proteins and like from the everything fall down as well. So it's not just yeast residue. You also have proteins and stuff like that in the bottle.
You want to drink it as clear as possible.
Yeah.
Some people love the yeast residue as well. Good for them. I prefer to drink it as clean as possible, and then maybe try the yeast residue at the end.
Try it, it's always fun, but you never mix it from the start. But if you have a bad stomach for a few days, it's good to get the system going.
Cheers.
Try it.
And this is actually the first time I'm drinking the...
Oh, really? I had this one before, and I really enjoyed it last time.
And it's a Driefontein, and it's called...
Dougel.
Lambic Dougel.
Also worth mentioning, Oud Lambic, I don't know if this is like 100% true. I've heard different people saying different things, but mostly it's without carbon oxide, right? Even though when it's old. Now this is old, so probably it's because it's very, very old, it's without, but it has lesser usually than when you have the other styles. Or
yes.
It's not the truth, but...
Well, it's still yeast that is fermenting in here. You saw how tight this cork was.
Yeah.
No oxygens come in, so it hasn't fermented that much, but it's actually, you can feel it's aged.
No, yeah, definitely.
It does have like not an oxidization per se, but it's quite a big flavor. It's not just sourness. It's a bit like apple cider vinegar that is matured for a while. Like,
and it almost also gets this kind of almost oily kind of feeling around the mouth. Basically, it's been, when you boil a sauce or a stew and you boil it down a little bit and you get more
reduce it,
you get more intense flavors. That's what you can feel here. It's like I can feel like a young one would probably be more all over the place and like with the bubbles and
more
the
sticky.
acidity. The sticky, yeah. It's
More of a cactus.
That's what you should see.
There we are.
But this is really enjoyable. And,
it's really nice.
We have a couple, like a dozen or more bottles left here. It's really nice. I think I had it the first time when I started working here, and Christian told me to have a bottle of this one.
Okay.
I think this is like the first vintage Lambic I tried.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So you can tell these guys about the January 2016 that I'm holding in my hand.
So this is Tilcan Quetche, which is plums, right? Yeah, plums. So it's a plum Lambic. And Tilcan have been always one of my favorite producers of Lambics overall. Their juice is
doesn't
amazing.
look especially clear. It looks kind of foggy. Anyhow, it's a fruit Lambic. Fruit Lambics tend to not age as long as Goose or straight Lambics.
So about
because
10 years of this
the fruit actually breaks down and becomes not so nice. So I normally say straight Lambic 10 to 15 years, fruit Lambic 5 to 10, then they're at their prime. And what we're going to have later on, that can age for about 30 years. And it still just becomes better, more complex and more stuff. I'm really excited about this one because I've only had big bottles of this one before. I've never had a small.
I have never had vintage of this one. I've had it on tap and I've had it on the fresher one, but not.
I've had a few.
I've had a few, but not vintage. So
cheers. Oh, immediately feel more funk, more like because the Brettanomyces and the bacteria, when it ferments, it actually produces kind of weird aromas. Some esters and
people usually say horse sweat, foot sweat. There's a lot of weird explanations for what the smell is, but it
pissed in horse stable. I've heard
pissed in horse stable. That's a good one.
Cheers.
Oh,
that is nice.
And you also feel that kind of a puree fruit as well.
The fruit is still really prominent and really there.
Yeah. The acidity is really nice. It's really, really nice.
I think this is what Anders is aiming for when he does the Mirabelle. Or the company.
Yeah.
One of our absolutely best friends in the brewing world. These guys do a fantastic Mirabelle plum sour. And I think this is what he's aiming for.
I'm so happy I made it again. And they were able to make it again.
And we have a few bottles left.
We have a keg left, I think, as well.
Yeah, and we've got 3 kegs that are waiting for us at our suppliers.
Yeah. No, that one is delicious. But Anders is what we call a yeast nerd.
He's a yeast geek.
I know. I asked him one night, I texted him and like, hey man, I want to read about yeast. I want to learn more. Do you have any tips, like recommendations for a book or anything? He just sent me a link for milkthefunk.com. It's basically Wikipedia, but for yeast. I ended up sitting in a bar for 5 hours reading about yeast. I read about Brettanomyces, and it never ended. And like in every other sentence was like a subgenre I could read more about. Eventually, the bartender comes up to me and asks, "What are you reading?" And I told him, "I'm reading about the Brettanomyces yeast, so I can learn more about lambics." Oh, okay. And he just left. So the bartender didn't want to be part of that conversation. But that's a big world, yeast. Like, I'm not ever gonna claim that I know anything about it because it's too much to know anything about it. Like I know enough to like know what's happening in the beer, but I mean,
and you know that there's actually doctorates. In yeast.
Yeah. So it's a big thing, and I'm happy we have these guys in the brewing world that
are nerdy enough to do it well.
Because it's a big world. It's a big world. And without them, we wouldn't have this.
What do you think of it?
It's delicious. I love this.
You actually, I want to break off before we go here. I want you to tell me, because you've been to one of the big beer cities on vacation. You just came back from vacation.
I did. I was in Edinburgh, in Scotland.
Edinburgh.
Had a wonderful time. It's I'm not going to do a Scottish accent. I'm not nearly drunk enough to do that. It was great time, and I went after the Costmark app. So Costmark. God damn it.
It spells Costmarquee.
Okay,
but it's pronounced Costmark.
Yeah. So I went through that app and looked for because I love clean tap lines, and that's one thing that gets me pissed off all the time is
we've had a podcast about this.
I know. I keep telling it because I think Sweden is the worst country in the world when it comes to.
It's not true, but
we need to get better. But that's the thing. Not one dirty beer.
And you know why?
We didn't even go to all the Costmark pubs. We went into some random pubs, student pubs. Even them had clean tap lines, which surprised me a lot.
But the reason that because we're talking about real ales or hand pumped proper cask conditioned beers, it's so much more popular over there.
Yeah.
So it will actually sell much faster. So it never goes really bad. And you always, when you run out of a keg, you run out of water and then put a new one on. So it's always a motion in
here's
the
the
taps.
thing. Even the lager taps were clean.
Oh, that's good.
I had at least 2 to 3 lagers per day at different pubs. I think about 14 or 15 pubs. Not one lager was dirty.
That's nice. Oh.
It surprised me a lot.
We got to go to Edinburgh together.
I've just been there.
I will go to Glasgow instead.
No, Glasgow. And the best thing about the trip, I think, was, I'm not going to mention this in the podcast, but I went out to Portobello, so the beach area there, for a reason. And it was...
No, we're not going to tell him what the brewery is, but he had a meeting set up with a brewer.
Yeah.
And they cancelled
25 minutes before the meeting actually was. I was 10 minutes away from the brewery, and I went out 40 minutes bus trip to get there, and they cancelled on me, which is
bastards. You knew you know who you are.
Yep. But the good thing about that trip is that I got to this pub called the Etri or Erring Etri, I think, by the Portobello Beach, which is
not the jetty.
No, Etri, something like that. Right by the Portobello Beach, which is beautiful in the morning. Like standing there, they have the gray cloudy sky, and you see the straight water line over the horizon. It's just absolutely beautiful.
And you had a beer at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I had a pint of 80 shilling from Stewart Brewing Company, I think.
Okay.
I'm not going to swear on
not
that.
Not the
brewery.
Caledonian 80 shilling.
I had an 80 shilling. I had waffles with bacon, poached eggs, and maple syrup. 10 a.m. in the morning. Sat there. So that was beautiful. I just had like an hour for myself sitting there at the pub and drinking that. So that was really lovely.
He actually texted me when he was on his way out there, and when he told me he just cancelled, and he was so angry.
Yep.
But then I spoke to him about an hour later when he'd had a beer, waffles, bacon, maple syrup, poached eggs, and it was like, but life's not that bad,
No, I mean, the bus trip was nice as well because I got to see more of the country or more of the city, and so it was nice as well. But that part really annoyed me because you don't do that, and the reason why they canceled is not. But fuck that.
Are we ready for
beautiful city?
Because this is no, it's me.
No, fucking.
I want to.
Oh, god damn it!
Hey, this can be a bit lively, so it's better that I do it.
I never open bottles when I'm working.
No, but the thing is, it's better if I get showered in beer than you.
Because you like
I'm trying to be nice, Steve.
You like it more. Now he did the thing I told you that I can never do. Just never do that.
Not hold a finger on top.
Yeah, never do that. Well, these ones are probably not that bad when it comes out. More champagne bottles and.
That's a good basket.
It's really good. Oh, fancy, fancy little.
This is one of my absolute favorite breweries when it comes to sour beers.
Definitely.
I think it beats the crap out of some of the more known ones. They've been doing it since 1882. It's a brewery called Jardin, and this is the Gueuse Jardin from 2014. I actually last week had a 01.
How was that?
Baseballs. But Gueuse is a bit different from a normal straight lambic. You want to tell them why?
Because in a Gueuse you mix different years, so you can mix 1, 2, 3 or a 2, 3-year-old. It's either mixed by two years or 3 years.
I guess should be 3 different vintages,
Should be.
but some are 2.
Yeah, some are 2, but usually 3.
Mm. And this is 3 vintages, 12, 13, and 14.
Yeah.
And then it's matured since 2014. And if you look at this, crystal clear, smell it, extremely more complex, more like cheesy, like rind cheese, and like the rind of a Briat Savarin or a Chimay cheese or something.
Yeah. And I always go to white wines, like really complex Burgundy wines. I always the smell,
because he's a wine nerd from the beginning.
Yeah, I am. But the smell reminds me of that a lot. I mean, not with the yeast, but with the flavors that it combines with. It's really gorgeous. This is the black label, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, they normally do a black label. They have a white label. Don't buy it.
Okay.
Don't, because they take away the thing about what this is. The white label is pasteurized,
No.
so they kill the beer, and that was made only for export to the US from the beginning.
Don't pasteurize lambics.
No, don't pasteurize any beers.
But especially not lambics.
Because they're made to age and like mature. So the white label, don't touch it. Black label, if you get a hold of it, buy it for fuck's sake. Because this is...
And if you can buy 10...
I haven't even tasted it yet, and I know this is going to be mind-blowingly good.
And if you get a hold of this, like, buy a few bottles and save them. I mean, you don't have to save it for 20, 30 years because...
You know what? Buy a box.
Drink one each year.
Of 12 bottles and drink them over 12 years.
Yeah. Or buy 2 and drink them over 24. I mean,
or buy 2 and drink them over 12 so you can have 2 every time.
Or that. Or buy 42.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
I've been looking forward to this all day. This is, we can tell them what time it is. Can't we?
It's 11:30 p.m.
Yeah, because I've been off all day. He's been working all day. I mean, our schedules are...
Yeah. And since the podcast fell through Friday, we had to make an episode for next Friday because, we want to keep on schedule. And we were like, well...
So I've been on the sofa all day, and it was really hurtful to get up and get over here.
Yeah.
But I've been looking forward to... This is actually what made sure that I arrived in here today.
And also, we've been planning to do a Lambic episode for a long time.
Yes.
And we postponed it, I don't know how many times. So it's...
Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That
I got a little goosebumps. Yeah. That is amazing. That is just fucking gorgeous.
Oh.
Girardin. You beautiful bastard.
They do some absolutely fantastic beers. Their Greek is really good as well, which is cherry lambic. But if you look here, this is the reason why we do what we do and why we're good at what we do. Because we have vintages that is non-existent anymore anywhere else.
And
Did you stop?
I don't know. I was just thinking the flavor is still...
Well, cheers.
The thing is, like, it's still going on in your mouth. So you're like, you're trying to think of something to speak of. But like, it's just so beautiful. But yeah. But there's a few big breweries. You have Cantillon, which is top of the game.
The thing is, Cantillon is the name. That's the ones who are made Lambics famous, basically.
And then you have Driefontein, which is basically the number 2 of us.
Number 2, yeah.
Say. And Tilcan as well.
Tilcan is quite newer, but they They are visible.
Yeah,
Wow.
same with Euroland. But then you have other ones like Lambic Fabrik, which we work with now,
Yeah.
which are really, really good.
A really new brewery that we just started to work with is Den Herberg.
They started doing 2016.
Yeah, but Den Herberg,
Den Herberg, yeah,
they are only 3 years old.
they're 3 years old. That's insane, and
The beers are fantastic. They have a Goes called Cuvée de Ville,
Mhm. Yeah.
which is, we got it in a mixed shipment we got from Belgium, and we all just fell in love with the beer.
Yeah, now we got a few boxes of it
Yeah, we actually have their triple on
tap right now.
Yeah. Because they don't only do sours, they do traditional like cloister style beers as well. And then we have the Cam.
The Cam, yeah. It's also a very stable brewery. I like it.
Stable, nice, good stuff. Haute Berzel, which has, in my opinion, always been like the B brand.
Yeah.
But now lately they've just started producing some extremely good lambics and Goes.
And don't forget about Hansen's.
Hansen's?
They're really, I think they're really nice as well. And they do a bit, they do a lot of fruit beers that are, fruit sours that are really nice. We have their cassis in right now, which I tried a few weeks ago. It was really nice.
But they do, like, Hansen's and Tilquin are the ones who experiment with fruit the most.
Yeah. And they're both very good at it.
Yeah.
But I think they do it differently because I feel that Tilquin uses more of they save more of the fruits, while Hansen's filter it out a little bit and let it become a flavor added, but not So two different kinds of using the fruits in, but both are delicious. But I gotta say, Finger Mirabelle, Tilquin's Mirabelle,
that's good.
It's really good as well. Very different from Oda's Mirabelle, but it's.
I tried the Tilquin Riesling, which is the Riesling lees on Riesling casks. And that was fantastic as well. If you like Riesling wines.
Yeah.
Because it is extremely towards the winey, like the Riesling wine style on the nose and on the palate. But we are going to conclude this podcast.
I think so, yeah.
But I've got a question for you.
What's the question for me?
Because you guys know we always put the last question to the guests. So I'm going to ask you, Rasmus, you're going to die today.
Oh.
What Lambic or Goes would you drink as the last beer?
Okay, I'm going to do a two-part answer for this one. If I'm just going to choose right now, I would do the Jordan Black Label as a 14 because this was fucking amazing. Yeah. But if I had to choose...
Then I can choose two as well.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to ask you the same question. But no, honestly, I'll
do one fruit and one straight then.
Okay. I don't want to be boring, but I would actually do the Tilquin Goes from 2000. What year was it? 2012, I think. Yeah, 2012.
The Goes.
Yeah, the Goes. That was
ahead of the Girardin.
I'm choosing this one right now, but like when I had that feeling.
But then you're choosing two unfruited ones.
No, I tell you, if I was on the spot right now, like I would do this part. But when I'm thinking about it, like the one that gave me it was like one of the first Goes I actually tried, and it was from 2012. So this was like 2017, so 5 years old, and it blew my mind. Like it was one of my first experiences with a Lambic or a Goes. So I was like, so I would have that one again, or that experience again, I guess. And fruited one. Oh, that one is difficult.
Fruit or grapes? You haven't had that many of those, have you?
I have had many, but like the only thing that comes to mind is Eau de Brygge Company's original Mirabelle.
We'll do that then.
The Eau de Brygge Company, the original Mirabelle, I would do again. Every day of the week. Well, it's spontaneous fermented, so it's not from Belgium, so it's not a Lambic, but it's the same style, so I would do that one. Because I remember when we tried it the first time, and we both were just...
blown away.
Yeah, like
Definitely.
People try to order beers and like, shut the fuck up for a few minutes. We need to
process this.
So it's easy. You're also about to die. I know the first answer, I guess.
No, it's to me it's easy. It's the Girardin 01.
01, okay.
because it is just so complex, so big, so fantastic. And when it comes to fruited or with grapes, I've got to say something that I'm sorry you will never ever get to try. And that was from the first tasting I had here, the Driefontein and Lambic from, I think it was 2004. And they're not supposed to be good that late.
But
so this was actually 18 years old, and it was amazing. For the guys who had the tasting, it was number 2 or number 3.
Okay.
Just to get to try the Lambic from Driefontein, and that was ta-da! Heavenly moment. I also have to if I will do a desert island beer as well, then I can drink as many lambics as I want, but I get to choose one, and that it would be Cantillon Rosé de Gambrinus.
Yeah, of course it would.
Because that is that's a staple that I could drink every fucking day.
I would probably do the two Mirabelle. I love that with those plum flavors.
I'm going to pour myself some more.
Do it. But I'm going to mention one thing more before we go.
Yep.
Because we do this podcast a lot, and it's not always easy to get guests on.
No.
Find guests in good time. So please do write us. What do you want us to talk about? Is there any subjects you want to hear about? Because we brainstorm ideas, but we feel like, who cares about that? Or sometimes we feel that. It's good to know that somebody wants to actually hear about something. I mean, we don't have to do a 45-hour episode. We can do a 10-minute episode. Just if you want us to cover any subject or
if you have like a local brewery that you want us to try, send us samples.
Yeah, send us samples.
We are at Akkurat.
Yeah.
In the middle of Stockholm at Hornsgatan 18.
Yeah.
So send us samples. We'll try them. If they're not up to scratch, we will not do anything about them.
Yeah.
But if they're good, we'll do an episode.
Yeah. We have a few more brewers we're going to talk to in the future. But, I mean, we like to sit down with you and I as well and talk about stuff. I mean, we can do these. It's more fun if you actually tell us what you want to hear about or what you want to learn or listen to, because it's you, the listener, is why we do this. So
check out our Patreon,
yes,
where we do our exclusive films and stuff like that. And if you want to see our ugly mugs without being a patron, you can actually you can actually go.
That was not planned.
You can actually go on our web store and buy a mug.
Yeah, you can.
With our ugly mugs.
You can buy a PK shirt, you can buy a hat, you can buy a Stein, you can buy anything with our ugly mugs on.
Or just the logo.
Just the logo if you don't want to have our ugly mugs on your mugs.
Yeah.
We'll put the link for that Beer Bubbles Instagram and Facebook and all of that shit.
No, you have to put our web shop up on the Linktree site.
I have to, yes. I will do that.
Please, thank you for supporting us. Thank you, Akkurat, where we are, Bishop Arms, and Elite Hotels, because they make sure we have somewhere to stay when we do our out-of-town work.
And some place to drink.
Yeah. And you
also,
guys.
You guys.
Without you, there wouldn't be a Beer Bubbles podcast. And we wouldn't be the bubbliest podcast.
We wouldn't be.
No.
And when it comes to Patreon, it's $5 a month.
Yeah.
50 crowns.
Yeah.
So it helps us a little bit, I guess, with travel costs and stuff like that.
Not even travel costs. It helps us pay for putting this up online.
Yeah, that.
It helps me and Rasmus do sound editing. Me do all the video and picture editing. And stuff like that. So please support us. But if you feel you have the extra money, please help us out, because we love to do this and we love to do it for you, but we might not be able to do in the end if we don't get any support.
No, exactly. And then we will try to put out as much fun content as we can on Patreon.
Yes.
And be Those silly bastards we are. So we end this with a cheer.
And we say, as we know, we drink first. And we do as we normally do. We turn to the camera and we say,
whatever you do,
drink better beer.
Well, that's it for now. We'll be back in 2 weeks with an interview with Fjäderholmarnas Bryggeri. Don't forget to check out our Patreon for more material and check out our web shop for cool merchandise. Thanks to Accurate, Elite Hotels and Bishop Arms for sponsoring us. And whatever you do, guys, drink better beer.